What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from GoldBoys.com. Our first MLB video of the season. I am beyond excited to talk about it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the slate. So the first one, Cleveland Guardians taking on the Washington Nationals. Logan Allen taking on Michael Soroka. For me in this one, it's got to be the under. You got an early start after a doubleheader. I just think these bats might be asleep against some tired legs. Likely some pretty ugly at bats, and I think these teams are very much looking forward to getting this game over with and hitting their getaway day, getting a little bit extra rest here. So I think this one's a bit of a snoozer. Like I said, we don't have a total just yet. I imagine it'll be around like 8.5 or 9. I like that under here. Moving right along to the next one though, the Houston Astros taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Framber Valdez versus Quinn Priester. If you watch this Milwaukee team, they've struggled against lefties pretty much all season. Framber coming off a start against the White Sox where he wasn't really sharp. I wasn't terrible, but a lot of walks, a lot of wasted pitches. Didn't really pitch as deep into the game as you would have expected him to against a pretty bad White Sox team. I do like him to bounce back a bit here. I'm not super high on this Astros team, especially on the road. But that being said, Quinn Priester's a guy who, in my opinion, is due for a lot of regression. Just if you look at the advanced metrics, his xFIP, his xERA, definitely numbers that don't favor him. So I like the Astros in this one. I think Framber has a much better showing. Like I said, Milwaukee against lefties just hasn't been very good. So give me the Astros here on the money line, minus 130. Moving on to the next one here, the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on St. Louis Cardinals. Sonny Gray taking on Mitch Keller. Big Sonny Gray guy, guy who we talked about probably at nauseum last season. Velo's been down a bit this year, had to rely a lot more on his off-speed stuff. It was something they kind of expected coming into the season. They knew that he wasn't 100%. We've seen it. He still pitched relatively well. I mean, the ERA obviously not great, 4+. But in this particular spot, I think there's a little bit of value here on the Pirates. Mitch Keller, for me, is a guy who I just can never seem to get right. So I don't think I'll end up actually playing it. But this Pirates team's hot right now, and they're not chasing outside the zone at all, actually. They're just pretty much spitting on any pitch that's outside the zone, forcing these pitchers to pitch, within the strike zone, kind of pitch to them, allowing them to make contact, allowing them to, score some runs, produce some offense. For me in this one, like I said, I think there's some value here on the Pirates. They're a team that obviously isn't very good, 12-24. But in this particular spot, like I said, I think that Sonny Gray could be in for a tough one, especially with that reliance on his off speed. And like I said, with that reliance comes a reliance on guys chasing. And when you're seeing a Pirates team that's just not chasing at all right now, I think this shapes up as a pretty tough spot for Sonny Gray. So I will take a shot here on the Pirates plus money to get this one done. Moving on, we have the Giants take on the Cubs. Robbie Ray versus Ben Brown. This matchup for me is just a brutal one for Robbie Ray. If you've watched him this season outside of the game against the Rockies, which I mean everybody pitches well against the Rockies, he struggled to really locate anything other than his fastball and wasted a ton of pitches, walks a lot of guys. And against the Cubs team, who we all know doesn't chase, this spells trouble. So I think Robbie Ray's in for a tough outing. I think his under outs likely ends up being in play. It's not up right now, but I imagine it's 17.5. I'd be willing to take the under there. Like I said, I think this is a brutal matchup for him. This Cubs team sees a ton of pitches. They're extremely patient at the plate, and they've actually been crushing the ball lately. So I like the Cubs on the money line here. I'm not a big Ben Brown guy, but this Giants team, as I've talked about numerous times before, home and away, their splits are night and day. They just don't hit on the road. They don't perform well on the road. They strike out a lot more. And I think Ben Brown can take advantage of that. I like the Cubs here, minus 135. I'd be comfortable playing it probably on minus 150 if that's where it gets to by the time this is posted. But I like the Cubs here. The next one, Seattle taking on the Athletics. Brian Wu versus Gunnar Hoglund. Gunnar looked pretty good in his first start. I think this matchup probably shakes out a bit different. This Seattle team, for whatever reason, this year and last year, offensively, they're just way better on the road. If you look at their numbers on the road, they're like the top hitting team against righties in the league right now. Similar to what they did last year, where they were, like I said, they're just way better on the road. So you get Hoglund here as in his second start. Probably a lot of people maybe thinking there's some value backing the Athletics here with how good he looked in his first start. But for me, it's Brian Wu who's been just a model of consistency for this Mariners pitching staff. And I think he pitches well here against this I guess not Oakland anymore, this Sacramento Athletics team. So I like the Mariners here on the money line. It's minus 155, so obviously I wouldn't play that straight. But you could pair it with somebody else, or even I wouldn't mind like a player performance double, like 4Ks and a win. Should be pretty close to even money, if not plus money. Our next one, the Mets taking on the Diamondbacks. Kota Senga versus Merrill Kelly. These guys just saw each other on these teams, this matchup, and I'm always reluctant to like go back to what worked in the first game. But I do think that the Mets are the right side here. This for me, this line open -130. Obviously, the Mets, we know, one of the better teams in baseball. But this Arizona team, in the first two games of this series, got a lot of respect on the line. And this one, to me, is really the first one where they haven't. I think that's pretty telling. I think that kind of tells you what they're expecting here. I think Merrill Kelly struggles against this lineup. This Mets team is just crushing the ball, crushing fastballs. And Merrill Kelly's a guy who just doesn't generate a lot of swings and misses outside of the zone. So I think he struggles once again in this matchup. Even if Senga struggles a bit, I just think that him and this Mets bullpen are really, really good. So I like the Mets here at the -130. I think they get this one done. The next one here, the Dodgers taking on the Marlins. Landon Knack versus Valente Belozo. I want to say he pitched today. I could be wrong. Maybe 2 days ago. I'm gonna have to pull it up though. It's not coming up when I search it, so I'll have to look at it a little more. But anyway, so for me here, we don't have a lineup for this game yet. Landon Knack is not a pitcher I am comfortable backing. I imagine the Dodgers will be their typical -200-ish. I mean, maybe with Knack we see a close like a -180. And I mean, the values on the Marlins, I can't personally do it. So I like the over. Like I said, we don't have a line yet. I'm gonna say probably 8.5. I like the over. I think Landon Knack can give it up. He's a guy who I'm not high on at all. So I do think the Marlins can score. And then obviously the Dodgers, when you have this offense, you can pretty much confidently back them to score, I would say at least 3 or 4 runs. So I like these teams to go over here. Like I said, we don't have an actual line out yet, but I imagine it's 8.5, and I would be on that over. The next one here, the Texas Rangers taking on the Boston Red Sox. Tyler Mahle versus Tanner Houck. So Tanner Houck's the guy who's been getting hit really hard. Tyler Mahle has been absolutely outstanding. It's a little surprising to see Boston open a favorite here, but they are a team that gets a lot of respect at home. Tyler Mahle is a guy who, I don't want to say a regression's coming because even the advanced metrics do like him and he's actually pitched really well. But he's a guy who's definitely pitching, better than I think anybody expected. And you have to wonder if that's going to change at some point. So, this Boston team overall has been hitting righties really well. Kind of cooled off a bit here as of late. But this to me feels like a spot where I think the line, they're going to try and make you think that it's the Red Sox. But for me, I just can't get there. I think Mahle, the way he's pitching right now, the way he's been pitching to lefties, which were to righties, sorry, which was his issue in previous seasons. I think he's kind of corrected that. And if you've watched him, like I said, his xFIP, his xERA kind of match up with what he's been doing on the mound. And I think that says a lot about what they've done in Texas with his arsenal and what they've done just kind of with the way he attacks the zone. So I like the Rangers here at plus money, short dog. I think they win this game. Like I said, Houck's a guy who's giving up a ton of hard contact, not missing a lot of bats. And when you're doing that against this Rangers team, who's actually been really good lately at kind of just having more competitive at bats, I guess if you want to say. Early in the season, they were swinging really early and maybe not swinging at the best pitches and making a lot of weak contact. They've really kind of settled down in terms of their patience. And for me here, like I said, I think that the Rangers get this one done. So I will take the Rangers as a short dog. The next one here, the San Diego Padres taking on the New York Yankees. Dylan Cease versus Max Fried. If this one goes, looks like there is quite a bit of chance of rain for this one. I like the under. We're going to get these two teams off of a high-scoring game. If you were watching the one today, the Yankees had like a 10-run inning. And, Cease has been, by all accounts, in my opinion, not great. So seeing this total only at 7.5, obviously some of that is the Max Fried tax because he's been unreal. And they're probably not expecting him to give up much of anything. I tend to agree. But I do think that Dylan Cease can kind of right the ship here, have a much stronger outing. Like I said, I think seeing this total as low as it is a bit telling. So you got Dylan Cease coming into this game, 1-2 with a 5.61 ERA. The expected metrics are significantly better. A lot of it has been some shoddy command, some bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But I think that he is due for a good outing. I think it comes here against the Yankees in a big spot. I like this under 7.5. The next one here, the Phillies taking on the Rays. Christopher Sanchez versus Shane Baz. Really good pitching matchup here. Another game that I am really intrigued by. Um, I, I was a bit surprised to see the Phillies open up another pretty respectable favorite here. Actually more of a favorite than they were with Wheeler on the bump today, which I don't know really what to make of that, truthfully. This Tampa Bay team just hasn't been great against lefties, and I think that's kind of baked in here. Something I definitely want to lean into. Sanchez is a guy who's been really good this season. Not a guy who I've typically liked to back on the road, though. So it's kind of like where my pause for concern is. I do lean the Phillies here. If I were to bet something, it would be the Phillies. But again, this is a game where the matchup really does favor them. Like I said, Tampa Bay against lefties, just not the same team that we've seen in years past. A lot of those guys who they had who used to crush lefties are no longer on the team. And we've seen that so far this season, where just overall they haven't been great against left-handed pitching. So, like I said, I do think it's a good spot for the Phillies. I think it's a good spot for Sanchez, but he's a guy where if you've backed him before, home and away, he's just night and day different. And so for me, I just personally can't get there. Backing him on the road, I do lean that way. This would be one that I definitely would not be putting any money on. The next one, we have a massive slate. We got 5 more to talk about. Let's keep rolling. So the next one here, Cincinnati Reds taking on the Atlanta Braves. Hunter Green versus Grant Holmes. Great pitching matchup. Really excited about this one. Actually, the first 5 under. I think Holmes continues to pitch really well. I love Hunter Green. Think he pitches incredibly well on the spot as well. This one, another one though that has a pretty big rain concern as of right now. We'll see if it changes. But I like these guys a deal. I like this to be a pitcher duel early. This total is 7.5, which I already think is a bit low, but like I said, kind of warranted. These guys have been outstanding. And I think the first 5 would be, I'm going to guess, probably a 3.5. Probably likely plus money to the under if I had to guess. I will be on the first 5 under 3.5. It's a bit scary, but like I said, I like these guys a deal. I think we see 2 pitchers who are really hitting their stride in the early part of the season. Our next one here, another one with a pretty heavy rain concern, so won't spend a ton of time on it. But the White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals, Jonathan Cannon versus Michael Wacha. I mean, these games are so tough because the White Sox are so bad. There's not a ton of value, in my opinion. I'm fading them. Obviously, Kansas City minus 225 on the money line. I mean, that's what I like. Obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to take a minus 225. If you like it, you put it in a parlay. Maybe parlay it with who we talked about earlier, Seattle. It'll definitely be plus money. But just like Wacha to continue to pitch well. This guy's 1-4, but I mean, if you've watched him pitch, I mean, he's actually been really good. Just kind of running into some bad luck here, not getting a lot of run support. So for me, this White Sox team, yes, they've been a bit sneaky, but I think they struggle against this pitch mix, the sinker, changeup. This is a team that puts the ball on the ground a lot, and I think they're just going to pound it on the ground repeatedly here. Really like Wacha to kind of spin himself a gem. Jonathan Cannon is a guy who struggled with lefties throughout his career. Obviously not a super long career at this point, but I think he pitches reasonably well because this Kansas City team doesn't have a lot of lefties, and the ones they do aren't guys who really concern me. But I do like the Kansas City Royals to get the win here. Like I said, I think Wacha has himself a day. The next one here, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Minnesota Twins. Charlie Morton versus Simeon Woods Richardson. Interesting spot here. This Baltimore team's kind of fallen off a cliff. Obviously, Charlie Morton is not a guy that I'm looking to back in any form or fashion. So for me, I like the over. This is a spot we don't have a line yet, so I really don't know what the total's going to be. I mean, with these 2 guys on the mound, I gotta imagine it's an 8.5 or a 9. I'd be shocked if it's any lower than that. Morton's been really bad. Simeon Woods Richardson has been serviceable, I guess would be the word I would use. And like I said, this Baltimore team, just super inconsistent at the plate lately. Extremely frustrating to watch. Extremely frustrating to bet on if you bet on them at any point during this kind of slump they've been in. But I think they might be able to find their way out of it here a bit against SWR. So like I said, I like the over. I like runs here. Wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore wins this game, but you won't catch me backing a Charlie Morton-led Orioles squad in this one. So I'll just back runs. The next one, the Detroit Tigers take on the Colorado Rockies. Jackson Jobe versus Chase Dollander. So this game is supposed to be played today. Got rained out. They're going to play now tomorrow. And for me here, we already see this total opening a half a run higher than what it was listed at all day. I think a lot of that has to do with what the weather was today. If they were going to play, hitting conditions weren't great in Colorado. I already like the over there. I like the over at 10 as well. So I like the over 10 in this one tomorrow. We look at the 2 pitchers here. Dollander's a guy with a high walk rate. Really more of a thrower than a pitcher. and he struggles against lefties. So obviously this Tigers team loaded with lefty pop. Carpenter, Riley Green, Colt Keith. I mean, this team has a lot of lefty bats who can do damage. So I think the Tigers carry their weight here. On the other side, obviously it's always scary to back an over. That involves the Rockies because they just haven't been good offensively. But they are at home, and they do get Jackson Jobe, who, a couple things. One, he's not missing bats, and two, he is not getting anybody to chase outside the zone. So for a Rockies team who does chase a ton, I mean, maybe he gets a couple swings and misses, but overall his stuff just hasn't played well, and he's not getting teams to commit to, chasing outside the zone, expanding the zone. So I think he gets touched up here too. Like I said, I like this over 10. I think this thing soars over. The last one on the slate, Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Angels. Jose Barrios versus Yusei Kikuchi. I'm going to be on the Blue Jays here, -120 on the money line on the road. Barrios is the guy who I like to back. He's been really good, bit of an anchor for this Toronto pitching staff, and I think that continues here against the Angels team that, quite frankly, just isn't good. We've watched them just have awful at-bats time and time again. The swing metrics look horrendous, and I think that continues here. Barrios, like I said, the guy who's going to go out there, he's going to work that slurve early and often, and that's a pitch that this Angels team does not handle well. So I think he pitches well. On the other side, Toronto against lefties hasn't been great, but they faced a lot of tough lefties, and I think they're kind of due to mash a guy here. And Kikuchi, obviously a ton of familiarity, would not be surprised at all if they light him up. So give me the Blue Jays here on the money line at -120. I think they get the win. That does conclude the slate, though. This was a massive slate and a very long video to start off our video segments of this season, but that's okay. Before we hop off, though, my 3 top plays. Blue Jays on the money line, #1. Absolutely love it. Like I said, probably my favorite play of the entire slate. The over in the Tigers-Rockies game, over 10. Absolutely love that one. And my third and final favorite play would be the Rangers on the money line here. A little plus money. So those are my three favorite bets. For all my official plays, you guys know where to find me. GoldBoys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't want to hurt a gambler. Thank you, guys.